Only met him a handful of times, which is hardly surprising, seeing the industry that I'm in. Always seemed pleasant enough, but as someone far more eloquent than I put it yesterday, the downfall and the disgrace is complete. The end of the career of Huw Edwards. But he has avoided jail, which is causing understandable distress, of course, for some of his victims' families, particularly the young man who was exposed by the Sun newspaper, or rather his mum is furious. Even some legal commentators too. Do you feel, and they point to the severity of sentences handed down after the so-called summer riots. Now, this is not eggs and eggs, these are very different crimes, but how do you feel about that? £200,000, roughly, the BBC estimates, they're still trying to get back. And if you read in depth, as I did, at one point, Mr. Edwards, I think he's in his 60s, isn't he? He's 63, was blaming his own family for not stepping in as he overdosed on prescribed medication. Now, if I went start raving nuts and started taking too much of it, I'm not going to blame I haven't got a wife, but I'm not going to blame anyone else. He's a grown man. What's he meant to do, flush it down the toilet? Anyway, he was, of course, the country's most famous newsreader, and he was at the centre of the news, but for all the wrong reasons. 6 months suspended jail term for the crime of making indecent images of children, some as young as 7.
But my point I'd like to make is he's put children as young as 7 or whatever age, he's put them in a lifetime of prison.
Yes.
I was abused as a child. I'm 66 now, and I'm still suffering
I'm so sorry.
from it. I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me. I'm just appalled. They say his life's in tatters. You tell that to those young people that they're going to spend the rest of their life perhaps not trusting men, perhaps not getting married. It's just...
What did it do, what has it done to your life? Were you able to get married? Did you find someone
I did. Fortunately, I found the most amazing husband.
Brilliant.
We had 2 wonderful daughters. One's a teacher. She knows all about safeguarding.
Yes.
And my husband passed away 11 years ago.
Okay.
But I could never trust.
Basically, this whole scandal involving Huw Edwards is absolutely... I'm appalled by it, and I'm sure thousands and thousands of other people are. And I know your good self in the past has sought to get these things overturned. If we can get enough people to sign up and try and get this taken back to court, because it's absolutely mind-blowing.
Well, all I would say is, I mean, Ian Bloom, who is our regular legal expert, someone I know well, and whose guidance I would not question, he sort of laid out where we find ourselves now. And also, Anthony, remember this. The person who actually supplied him with the pictures, Alex Williams, he didn't have a custodial sentence either. And he was sentenced... I'm sorry, his crimes were far more grave or graver than Edwards. I appreciate what you're saying, but the chief magistrate, did what he had to do by the law, lastly, Anthony. But you're saying it's not enough.
No, I mean... I even feel that the judge has been a bit inadequate by not even sending it to Crown Court. I was amazed it's not even gone to Crown Court.
We know that currently, apparently, the law doesn't allow, the sentencing guides do not allow for anything harsher than apparently he got. But then, the person that had sold...
Because of
I
certain
use that term,
extenuating circumstances, by the way.
Yes, but he shouldn't have been given so many extenuating circumstances. You've got people phoning up that are in their 60s, and they're saying, this happened to me as a child. It's affected me my whole life.
Yes.
This 7 or 9-year-old, however old they were. No, but there's no care for them. No, I mean, maybe they haven't even got a parent. It's often children that are in care. I mean, the weakest in society, they get used in this way. And it's just not good enough. And if the sentencing guidelines are currently in such a way that it means somebody like him walks with a 6-month suspended sentence, then they are wrong. They need to be reviewed.
What do you think would have been appropriate, lastly, Jo?
A very long sentence with treatment, but apparently some of the world's greatest psychiatrists say that there is no treatment for this because you're either that way inclined or you're not.
I think every time we use words like he viewed pictures, he viewed images, he viewed photos. We're just forgetting that they're all inanimate objects. Behind what he viewed was a human child being tortured, suffering.
Well, I don't know being tortured, but certainly, yes, going through anger, yes. Yeah, I don't know if he witnessed images of people being tortured.
I think you're being tortured. If you are sexually abused, you're being tortured.
Right.
I mean, you are going to create massive problems to those
Some of them are just
going
images
forward.
of people standing stock still. That's it. But anyway, go on with the point you're making. Yeah, okay.
Okay, but they're being used.
Yes,
they're being used,
absolutely.
and they're being for sexual gratification for this man. And I think, and I think everybody that views these images, they are complicit. They are complicit in the making of those images.
Yes. But the person who made and supplied the images, he didn't go to jail. And I'm not defending Huw Edwards for a second, but if the person who supplies them doesn't go to jail, why should the person who views them go to jail, lastly, Tracy?
Well, I think that just says that the sentencing for either of them wasn't right.
So you want to go all the way back up there and start getting longer terms for everyone involved in this?
I do, absolutely.